I'm A+, Operations Manager of Radio 1 Cleveland, and in this edition of our virtual music conference series, Plug Talk, we're diving into ownership. As it stands in the do-it-yourself era, creators are creating from anywhere. I mean, you can make the next big hit from your bedroom closet. But after that hit is made, do you know how to go about properly owning that record? If you don't, tonight, let our panelists drop some gems on you about music publishing, copyrights, and music scoring. You ever wonder how your favorite songs end up in your favorite movies? Or do you remember the time that Robin Thicke had to pay $5 million to Marvin Gaye's family over a copyright infringement settlement? Well, hopefully our panelists tonight will drop some gems on you so you never have to go through that experience. We're talking about music publishing, copyrights, and music scoring. It's Plug Talk, and here's your host, the Day Party's Road Digger and Ryan Wolf.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Plug Talk virtually. Before we dive into this free game and all this good info, here's a word from our sponsor, Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence.
My name is Baptiste Loiseau. I am the cellar master of Remy Martin. It takes more than one person to create an exceptional cognac. In fact, there is a whole team with me, working together as one, instilling our passion, our savoir-faire, and our excellence. Together, we continue the legacy of Remy Martin.
Yeah, buddy.
So what's going on, guys, man? You already know this is Family Plug Talk. And y'all here to learn the stuff that we giving y'all the cheat codes. And we got the right people that's going to, give y'all the cheat codes. So just make some noise if y'all can. We gonna act like we can hear you for our panelists: Sean Taylor, Regional Rep at Atlantic Records, and Chris D. Harris, CEO of Mayhem Music.
Chris,
what's up, guys?
Hey, what's happening, y'all? How y'all doing?
All right, what's up, y'all?
Doing good. Ready to spit off this game to our viewers. I want to make sure you guys know that you can totally 100% drop questions, comments in the comment section, whether you're viewing from Facebook, our website, or our YouTube page. And we will try to address those throughout this whole segment. But we're going to jump right into it. So I hope y'all are ready for this free game, for this good talk, Plug Talk. Starting with both the gentlemen, Sean and Chris. Let's talk about, and whoever wants to go first, how did you guys get your start in the music business? Explain your journey.
Chris, you want to start? Mine's a little longer.
Yeah. I actually started out as a DJ, and I thought that's what I wanted to be. And then one day, just kind of messing around with some friends, playing some instrumentals, I started freestyling, and I actually enjoy performing a lot better. Fast forward maybe about 10 years of just being an artist, strictly performing and doing shows and things like that. I got into the world of production music and making songs specifically for TV and film. And here I am today with my own company and here talking with y'all.
Oh.
No, awesome. Wow. Where do I start? What I can say is this is the beginning of my 26th year in the music business. I started as a college DJ, and then my first professional job I started in 1995 as an assistant. I worked at Radio 1, and I became a program director of WHTA in Atlanta. I moved from Atlanta. I did that from 95 to 99. In 1999, I moved to New York. I was the music director at Hot 97 in New York from 99 to 2001. Then in 2002, some friends of mine that I started in radio with turned into Chris Ludacris Bridges, and I went back. But before that, after radio, I left. I was an A&R. I went to Columbia Records from 2001 to 2004. I was an A&R person. At 2004 to 2011, I was the general manager at Disturbing the Peace, Ludacris, the entire deal. After that, I took some time off and became a digital advertising consultant and a publishing consultant. I spent another year around 2015 working for Lecrae, Andy Mineo, and those guys at Reach Records. And then while continuing my independent publishing stuff, and ended it back at Atlantic in 2019 as the Midwest regional rep.
Nice.
Some powerful people in this room.
Y'all gave up on DJing, huh? Y'all couldn't cut it.
Gave up.
Too hard.
When you
But you know what's so crazy?
Yeah.
What's so crazy is like in this business, you literally can start from anywhere and just evolve and take off. So DJ, I mean, Wolfie is a DJ, but he's also a personality. So it's just a testament to, you know, once you get your foot in the door and you make those relationships, it's good. It's good. So yeah.
That's dope, guys. All right, so for the people that might not know, a lot of these questions, if you don't know, that's good. If you do know, just, you know, get a refresher. What is a publishing deal?
You just want to start, you just want to jump on into it.
Yeah, let's go. Let them know. What is a publishing deal?
Well, let's just start. Well, I think we need to break it down a little. Before we start to get into a deal, you actually got to know what it is. But short and sweet, a publishing deal is basically when you join with another company or join with a larger label to help you properly exploit your music copyright. That's really what it is in a nutshell. So, you know, that which takes us off into other questions like what is the copyright? What is, you know, I'll let you guys get to it. But yes, you know, understanding that ultimately is a composition. What is a composition? A composition is basically the lyrics and the melody of a song. That's what makes up a composition. And then there are two parts to a song. There's the composition and then there's the master recording. So the composition is usually owned by the writers. The master recording is usually owned by the label or whoever paid for it.
Gotcha. Thank you for explaining the difference in that. And we're going to rewind it real quick right back to the copyright then. So what's a copyright?
Simply, a copyright is your musical asset that you own. It's no different from Apple owning their phone. There's no different from Samsung. You know what I'm saying? It's a copyright. You own it. It's a work that people can do over, but they cannot recreate the work. Once that work is done and it's copyright, it is a copyright. It will stand up in a copyright court. You know, there's also different markings for compositions versus anything else. So it's very important to understand that even a piece of a song is a piece of a copyright. I.e., I'm sure you've seen the recent news about Damon Dash and the NFT, that kind of role to own it.
Yep.
You know, who owns what? That's exactly what we're talking about.
Got you.
So what is the difference for some people that can get them confused between publishing and copyrights? Or are there anything that people kind of have like that they, I guess, put hand in hand that you can differentiate with?
Well, the music publishing is really the leasing out of your copyright. You know what I'm saying? So say you make a product, you know, the music publisher is really like Walmart selling your product. They're out there trying to get your product sold, trying to get it placed, trying to help you generate income. So the copyright is the actual asset that you own. Music publishing is the exploitation of that copyright. And if you want to put up the sources of income, that's what we talk about exploitation. These are the multiple ways that you can, you know, and exploitation is not a bad word. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I like to use it. So get familiar with it because it's just a term that gets used in the music business. So these are a bunch of different ways that you can make money if your copyright's in order. And there are far more ways, but you know, when you see that there's about a good 50, 60, 70 ways you can make money.
You see how I'm up in the screen too, because I'm learning.
I was like looking like, hold on.
I'm up in here.
That was all in the camera.
You would be surprised. A lot of money goes unclaimed every year just because people don't know.
I got a quick little side question. I think they kind of refer to it as like the ghetto or the poor man's copyright. Is that when a person, so say for example, you create music, create the song, whatever the case may be, and then it's done, it's mastered, or I don't know what the process is exactly. So this is learning stuff for me as well. But I've heard people say that you can mail it to yourself.
That is not enforceable. That is that is a wives' tale. I'm not saying
poor man's patent.
Poor man's you've heard it, the poor man's copyright, but the whole point of a copyright is being able to enforce your copyright. So in music, what you find out that there are really only 7 notes. So, but how you play those notes and how you put them together, and once they're together in a master recording and copyrighted, that is now yours, you and whoever wrote it. So what that means is nobody else can use your copyright without your expressed written permission.
Gotcha.
Very important.
All right. So back to the publishing deal. Let's talk about, do artists receive an advance when they get a publishing deal?
Well, they can. There's two types of publishing deals. There is a co-publishing deal and there is an administration deal. Now, the difference is in an administration deal, there is no transferring of copyright. What that means is they collect all the money for you, they take their fee, but you retain all ownership of your copyright 100%. In a co-publishing deal, whoever your partner is, at the end of this deal for writing you that check, they're going to own a piece of your publishing in perpetuity, which means forever. Mm-hmm. If you ever see that word, that's really what it means. So there, and now there's an even further way to break that down, because in publishing, if you don't have a proper entity collecting for yourself, there's a portion of your publishing that you can't even collect. It's called your publisher share. So your 100% publisher share, your share or your ownership that you own is broken down into writer's share and a publisher share. 50% of it is your writer's share, which you should automatically get. The other 50% is your publisher share, which you cannot collect if you either do not have a partner collecting for you or you are not set up as a self-publisher to collect on your behalf.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I see the wheels turning over there, Ryan. You look like you got it.
Yeah, cuz I got a nephew when he makes a lot of beats, and we could talk about that when the mic's cut off.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so what's the split when doing a publishing deal?
Okay, depends. There's the standard 50-50 deal, which is really much what it says. It says 50-50. You split everything with your partner. You collect your share and you split your publisher share, because they're going to retain 25% of your 50% publisher share, and you actually get 25%. So you're really getting 75% of your money, and they're taking 25% less admin fees. Okay. Now, other is a 75-25 split, where just the same, where you split off of that publishing deal, where you, instead of getting 25% of your publisher's share, you get 12.5%. So you would get 62.5% versus 75%. But it's also giving you a chance. Both these deals give you a chance to eat on your publisher's share. Now, they usually change depending on money. So what I tell people is that you can't have them both. You can't have the money and the low song commitment. The more money you want, the higher your song commitment is going to be. So got to keep that in mind.
Definitely. For those viewing too, I just want to say that, in this business, a lot of people strive to be the talent. They strive to be the artist. But baby, if you don't know the business that this is, all these details right here, not paying attention to detail, not having the right team that's helping you with publishing and all that stuff, copywriting, all that stuff, like, you won't have no career. So just keep that in mind, that this part is just as, if not more important than you actually being the star. So just, keep that in mind. Make sure you are taking notes, asking questions, drop them down below. We will get to them as we go throughout this. So a lot of people probably hear publishing company, record company. Are they the same? Is the publishing company the same as your record company?
They can, yes or no. I mean, just like any other big company, record companies have publishing divisions. So Warner has WEA, they have Warner Electra Atlanta, but they also have Warner Chapel, which is, a separate company, even though it's part of the company, as all of the majors have publishing arms. And this is what their job is to do. Their job is to go out and get copyrights and find find artists, because they're in the job of owning assets. So that's what they do. They have a lot of people at these companies that are out looking for writers, looking for producers to continue to exploit and make the music worldwide.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So how many territories does the publishing deal cover?
It varies. I mean, it's all negotiable. Usually you'll see, depending on where you do your deal, because outside of the US and Canada, you can actually do an individual publishing deal in all of the territories. But then that becomes hard to track all the money in every single country. So, what I would advise people is there are a few ways to do it. Even if you're an independent publisher, you should sign up to Harry Fox, which will collect for you as well, because it's really hard to self-publish. And you don't really want to have to really track and call every single territory, because it's almost impossible to track that money.
Gotcha. So this next question, I kind of personally need a little bit more on because I don't necessarily know what I'm asking. Is there a minimum delivery commitment? What does that mean? And then is there one?
Okay, let me see if I can break it down. Okay.
Okay.
In every, let's say, co-publishing deal, you have a couple different parts to the deal. You have the advance, which obviously that is what it is. You also have your minimum dish requirement. What that is the amount of songs that you have to complete and have to be released within that particular term in order to move you from year 1 to year 2. Gotcha. I'll give you an example. Let's say your advance is $200,000 or $300,000. I say your song commitment is going to be 4 songs a year. You have to give me, they have to be released. I'm going to give you $200,000 up front. So I'm going to hold $100,000 of your advance. I will pay you $50,000 more when you complete 2 songs. So you say, well, how do I get to these? So when you break down a song is really worth 100%. But as the writer, you're really only usually going to do about 50% as a producer. So usually if the 4 of us get on a song, we write a song, if Chris and I produce it and you and Ro write it, we're in essence splitting 100%. Now, whether it's equal, it can be any division of that 100. So if Chris and I produced it, we can split it 50-50. Maybe he produced more of it. Maybe I just put the drum pattern. It's 35-15. Same for you guys. As long as it equals 100%, that's all that really matters. So that's the most important. That's the most important part, is that now we all have to agree that this is what our portion of the song is.
Right.
And, we all agree that, so everybody is all transparent and we can all see what we all own. So, okay, so I produced the song, or say Chris and I produced the song, that's 25% for me. So every 25% equals 1 song, because 25 times 4 is obviously 100%. So if I'm doing songs that are 25%, every 4 songs equals 1 song. So it also doesn't matter how you get there percentage wise. I could have 25, 10%, 9%, 18%, 27%. Doesn't matter. Every 100% is a song. So what that means is, for me to complete 2 of the songs, I have to turn in 4 songs at 50%, or 8 songs at 25%, 16 songs at 12.5%. Just depends. So, the best bet is, if you're a producer who doesn't sample, that makes sense, because, I can get to my next bit of money by just doing 4 songs. Now, these 4 songs have to come out, because the publisher has to be able to collect the money.
Right.
So they have to be released and they have to be properly licensed, which means everybody has to sign off. Everybody's in agreements about what they own, and there's no issue.
Thank you for breaking that down.
No problem. Now, I also want to say too, Ro, it's also important. That's just on the publishing side. We haven't even gotten to the PROs, and that's just simple starting there, where the performance royalty organizations, where that's how you get paid for when your songs play on the radio.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or Sound Exchange, that when your songs are played on digital radio like Pandora. And you have to register all your songs, because people are not going to chase you for your money. Like, it's your job to make sure you're properly registered at all these places so they can collect your money.
That's
if they don't, they're going to keep it. And it's in their bylaws that you have a time limit for all this money. So they're going to keep it if you don't collect it. For PROs, it's 24 months.
So question, how much money are they keeping on people that don't have their business lined up right now?
Well, there's a term called a black box. And every year, all the money that's collected, so at the end of a 5-year period, there is a collection or a disbursement between all the publishers by publishing share. So all the money that's uncollected at the end, so every year there's money dumps in it, but it sits in there for 5 years. So you can imagine there's a few $100 million, I'm sure,
right,
sitting in this pot of money, and it's all broken down by publishers by market share.
But they can get it, or after the 5 years, they can't get it.
Well, if you don't collect it, it's like unreturned money. It's like, if I hold your money 30 days, I've held it long enough. If you don't rightfully respect your money and collect it, I can't hold it indefinitely.
Right.
So then what do you do? I just keep it?
They keep it. The PROs is even shorter, man, 24 months.
Yeah.
And it's written in there. Like, if you look in their summary, you'll see it right there in plain sight.
Yes, it's important that you read.
Yes, we will reallocate those funds.
Sheesh.
For real.
Okay. What is the term of the contract for a publishing deal?
That kind of that's back on the same question, because in order to move between terms, you have to recoup the money that you got. So you have to recoup the $300,000 advance, and you have to fulfill the song commitment in order to move between terms. So as long as that takes you, you'll be in year one of your deal. There's no time limit for songwriters. Now, if you're an artist, sometimes what happens is that they'll make your minimum disc requirement an album. So every time you release an album, that counts as your minimum requirement. So if you had 4 options, every time you release an album, that would move you into your next option. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into music scoring and placement questions, going back to something you kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, but just to break it down one more again, what is the difference between a full publishing agreement versus a co-publishing agreement?
Well, they're really the same thing. A full publishing agreement, it's really whether it's a co-publishing deal or it's an administration deal. Those are usually the 2 types of deals. And there are deals for both of them. They can be profitable for somebody that doesn't necessarily want to give up. Usually you see administration by bigger artists. So at this point, I'm sure Jay-Z would be in an administration deal because there's no reason for him to sell off any of his copyrights because he doesn't.
Right.
So versus, you usually tend to see co-publishing deals earlier on in their career, just simply because, it allows you to put some money in your pocket without having an extremely long commitment. So, once again, you got to decide what you want. You want the money or you want the low commitment. So it's all kind of walks hand in hand.
Gotcha.
Nice. All right, so let's get into the music scoring and placement questions. We got our boy Chris with us. What are licensing and placement opportunities?
The easiest way to put it, these are opportunities where your music can be heard in maybe a TV show, commercial, a film, or even a video game. So it's basically getting your music played in different mediums available.
And that's what's cool is a lot of artists just think is one way, and they don't even think about let me get my song on the ESPN or in a movie or in a, in a commercial or something else, because there's so many ways that you can get your songs played and be successful that way. But a lot of artists I know is so one-track minded. They just only think about, I gotta have this song on the radio, rap, that's it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the end all be all. But
absolutely.
Can I chime in there too? Not to interrupt Chris, and you make a good point, because you'd be surprised, you end up making more money with the sync uses than you will any place.
I believe it.
I have the licenses to prove it.
Wow. If you know better, you do better. It's so much bigger than what y'all think, man. This is why this is so dope. I really, really appreciate you guys coming through and giving us this knowledge, because, this is how you really get put on. Like, we say it and you hear people say it and it's like, whatever. But no, this is how you really get put on. This is how you stay on. This is how you make money and do well in this business, because everybody knows how it can go. You can be here today and literally be gone in 12 hours.
Bro, can I also say something too? And I think Chris can probably speak to this as well. Most of the time when these records get synced and across genres, not just rap and hip hop, they're not new records. So you're talking about money for records that you might, as a producer, you might have made that record 10 years ago.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you end up in a Walmart commercial.
Yep.
Right. Some of my best placements have been records that I've done 8 years ago, but those instrumentals are still getting used overseas. They're still getting placed in TV shows on ESPN. So Sean is absolutely right.
And let me drop one more jewel, which I'm sure Chris can attest to this as well. There's not enough Black and urban music to sync in TV commercials. I can tell you that. I've sat in the meetings and I've had head of these departments tell me, that's why you hear the same music getting used over and over, because the tempo's too slow. We're not making enough music to get synced, unfortunately. And we're the most synced. We're one of the most synced genres out there.
Yeah.
And we don't have many seats at the table. And that's one of the things that, I want to try to change here.
But is that also why, though? Is that kind of going hand in hand why we don't have that much, because we don't have the seats? Or is it just because, I feel like
my experience has been, gotta have the business right. And Chris can tell you, as a music supervisor, nobody wants to deal with any business that's not in order. Because when you start to deal with movies and TVs, you're dealing with a lot of money. So nobody wants to pay the wrong person because they don't know where the ownership or who owns what is. So most of the time, music supervisors will not touch anything that is not easily licensable.
Yep.
It's not worth the headache. When I can find 75 other records that can do the same thing,
right,
that have their business in order.
Right. No, that's real. So again, that's why it's so important for you to know your business and make sure you guys are on top of your business. And think beyond, like Ryan said, think beyond just getting your song on the radio. There's so many other outlets and platforms that you can really, really come up on. So Sean, you mentioned a music supervisor. What exactly is that?
That's exactly what Chris said. Their job is to find music to place in whatever their film, TV, project, video game, whatever they're working on. They usually find a song. They usually tend to have a very specific sound or niche that they're looking for, and then they want to find all the songs that fit that particular, whatever they're looking for. That's hence you see Kroger using Flow Riders Low, or you see in Walmart using Lizzo. You know what I'm saying? Like these are all like they said, oh, we need this energy. It's got to be a certain amount of beats per mission. And Chris will tell you, some of these they actually write briefs, long one-page briefs, specifically defining what they want, and you would be surprised. Like they are very, 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 very specific.
So who actually communicates with the music supervisors?
The publishers.
Okay.
Or the owner of the song. Say, I heard this song and Ro and Ryan did it. I'll just contact Ro and Ryan's representatives because you own a piece of the copyright. So if I'm going to use it, I have to contact the copyright owners and I have to contact the master rights owners if I want to use the original sound recording.
Makes sense.
So everybody
music supervisors are basically curators. That's one easy way to look at it. They're curators for TV, film, video games, etc. So like Sean said, these briefs are usually very specific. They may have a specific tempo or range of tempo that they're looking for. They may have references. We like songs that sound like Kanye West, things like that. And you take those briefs and you run with them.
Got you. Dope.
I love it. It's on me. I'm over here. I'm tapped in. All right. How do you get started in licensing and placements?
So I get this question a lot, and I totally understand the question, but really what I try to tell people is it's important to build a foundation. I think a lot of people just think, oh, like my song is just ready to be on TV, and chances are it's probably not. You got to think about it. What are the lyrics like? Are the lyrics clean? Are they what we call syncable, meaning can they be synced across multiple platforms? One of the things when I'm making a song, I think about where can I envision this song? Is it a song that is only appropriate for a show like Power? Or is it appropriate for a show like Power and a Carl's Jr. commercial and, an ESPN highlight? Those are the kind of things that I try to think about. Again, Sean really touched on a lot of parts, making sure that your business is in order, signing up for a PRO, because if you don't belong to an ASCAP, a BMI, or a CSAC, you're not going to get your music placed, or you're not going to get paid for getting your music placed in TV shows.
Got you. We do have a question that came down that's right along this path. I want to ask it real quick. How do you get with music supervisors if you are independent?
It's a really hard thing to do. I mean, this whole business, as you all know, as Sean clearly knows, it's about relationships. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to get a relationship with a music supervisor and you're independent, props to you. Make sure you hold on to that. And there's some other things I want to touch on some other questions that we have, but it's a really difficult thing to do. Your best bet is working with a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. All right, so let's talk about finding opportunities for placement, which you guys are doing a really good job of kind of touching on all this stuff, but just kind of bringing it back specifically to that. I would find, opportunities for placement.
So again, finding a publisher or a production company. So almost 2 years ago, I started my own production company, Mayhem Music, and this is just strictly what we do. So if someone is looking for opportunities, they can hit me up, right? And I can see sort of where they're at, and maybe there is an opportunity for them. And if there's not anything now, there might be something down the line. And really, when it comes to opportunities, there are a couple things that I'm looking for. Again, that foundation, but I want to really see like what your work ethic is like. If you're somebody I can't rely on, it's not going to work. To me, that is just as important as the talent that you have. What type of worker are you? Because there are a lot of times when it comes to this licensing thing that I'll get a call, hey, I need something tomorrow. What do you have, or can you do it? I need people that I can depend on.
Nice. So we have another question from the audience. How do you get with music, or how do you get with music supervisors? No.
Oh, yep,
that was already asked. I'm sorry. How much does the average artist pay for promotions a year?
You talking as far as records or?
I don't know. Maybe it could possibly be in general.
I mean, yeah,
maybe
promotions at a record company, I mean, you can get in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, it just depends. Usually the rule of thumb is as you're making money, you spend more money to make more money. Mm-hmm. So at some point, when the artist takes off and you don't have to spend as much money because it's turning its own wheel. So it's kind of like the stock market. It's kind of what your budget is and where your comfortability is, because definitely you can spend a lot of money and not necessarily recoup that money.
Gotcha. All right, then coming right off of that one, how do you submit your music for licensing?
So again, kind of the same way that you find those opportunities. You might submit them through a company like mine, where we're looking at briefs, and then basically we're submitting that music to whomever is listed on the brief. If someone is interested in this line of work, I would say, reach out to a small production company like mine, and always have like your hottest tracks ready. Probably your top 3 tracks. If you're submitting music, always use links. Don't send someone an email with a bunch of attachments, because people just generally don't have the time for that, and it clogs up your email and stuff like that. So kind of have your 3 best songs available. I don't know, Sean, is anything I'm missing?
No, you hit it on the head. You're right. People just don't have the time to open. I mean, music supervisors and companies like you are overwhelmed with the amount of music that they receive, and it's just you're looking for you're like, I just need these 30 seconds right here. You know what I'm saying? So, and I got to go through these 500 CDs or attachments to find my 30 seconds. Yeah, they just don't have that kind of time. So yeah, no, you hit it right on the head. Make it easily accessible for the music supervisor.
So with Source Music,
so I consider it like background music, but it's a little bit different. I would say it's music that the characters or whomever is in that scene is interacting with. So I got a placement in the movie Baby Driver with Jamie Foxx and Kevin Spacey, and there's a scene where my music is playing, but it's a gentleman playing it on the radio, so he's interacting with it. So he's actually listening to the music that you hear in the background. Not all placements are like that. If you hear music in a highlight of ESPN, Giannis isn't dunking to the beat, right? But you might have something where, there's
you see it in the replay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, you see it in the replay.
Replay going to commercial completely.
Yeah.
Got you.
Definitely.
That's fire.
Now, I will tell you, and I don't know if Chris can speak to this now. Not that I was a songwriter, but in part of my compensation along the way, I used to get paid pieces of songs. I've heard my song playing in the background and know that they didn't send me a license.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. Or I've had a placement just like Chris where it was a major placement. It made so much money that they didn't even use it in the movie. They only used it in the promos and the trailers and just the split alone was $600,000.
Wow.
The trailer. Now that is, you want to talk some money. You get money for a song in a trailer. Now, and there are a couple different ways to get paid by licensing your music. So there's what we call, the sync fee, and then you have your royalties. So the royalties are what your PRO will collect for you when it airs on TV. So your ASCAPs, your BMIs, your CSACs, they collect that money and you get paid quite a few times throughout the year. But a sync fee, depending on how you have your deal structured with whomever you're working with, if you get a cut of the sync, that's always a question that you want to ask. Do we get a cut of the sync? Usually it's like 50-50. Sometimes it's a little different. But the sync fee is basically whatever that TV show or that movie is paying to just use the song. So in a trailer, you might have a movie that will pay $100,000 just to use a song in a movie trailer. You want to cut it at $100,000, don't you? Yeah.
So, because it goes to recouping your artist account. If you have that recoupable money that you need to pay back if you're at a publisher, that sync fee will go to help recouping that money.
Gotcha.
So for all my people that's listening, all my artists that are excited about getting in the studio and making this music, which lyrics, style, and tempos work best?
Can we just back up a little bit, not to take it all the way back to the beginning? Okay. And Chris can attest to this. Like, nobody ever wants to talk about the business. Okay. When they're in the studio making it, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Listen, if you don't get out that studio and you don't know what you own, it is a moot point.
Yep.
I'm just gonna tell you, like, you don't want to ruin the vibe. Be that guy, ruin the vibe. Figure it out. You just want to know it, and that's just handling the business. You just really want to know what you own. And then when you all agree, everybody signs something. Piece of paper that we all agree this is what we own, so everybody is clear. It's almost like you want everybody involved to be looking at the same sheet of paper. So everybody signs it and everybody gets a duplicate copy, so there's no dispute about what anybody owns. It's really just that simple.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with social media, we see so many stories of artists that are either no longer here, or artists that you don't think about these things, but the headline is so-and-so, did this to own the rights to their music. So-and-so did this to whatever. And it's like, I don't know how that resonates with people, but as Chris and Sean say, like, the business, if you knew the business and you were handling your business, you know how important those headlines are when you see them come across your screen.
Right. I've only ever worked behind the scenes. My entire career has been spent doing, for lack of a better word, doing paperwork. Yeah. But, somebody has to do it. Somebody has to, these, and it's very important because that, do you both know how long a copyright is? A copyright is your lifetime plus 70 years. Let me say that again. A copyright is your lifetime plus 70 years. That's you can turn that over to your kids. They will make money forever. You think BBD is 70, mad, right? You think BBD 70. Is mad that Poison still gets played on the radio in 2021? You think they mad? They made that record in the 80s.
I ain't mad. Good Lord.
You think 50 Cent is mad at Go Shoot, it's your birthday?
Right.
Everybody, your grandmothers are playing these songs. These are evergreens. These songs are never going away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Sean, again, he's just making great points all throughout this whole panel. But what he said is just, it's like gold. You got to make sure you have these kind of conversations before you start working, right? Right. The vibe might be, hot and all that stuff in the studio, but do you know how much that you own in that song? Do you know if this song this beat has any samples in it? These are the kind of questions that you need to ask, because I'm telling you, if a music supervisor hears a song and they like it and they say, hey, who owns this? And you, they're on to the next. They're gone. Just like that. So have that stuff in writing. Before I work with anyone, I make sure that we have an email, it is in writing, and they are clear on exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
You know what, Chris? You made a really good segue. Let's just talk about sampling. We tell all you producers out there, don't be trying to slip one past the goalie. People know their music.
Right.
I tell you, people know their music. I have sat in court, musicologist. I have been. These are all. I don't have to make nothing up. Because I tell you, these experiences all happen to us. So people will defend their music if they really think that you infringe on their music. I mean, there are cases throughout hip hop that have shown this. You know, when Uptown Baby Deja Vu did not clear Steely Dan. Steely Dan is still collecting money from that song. You know what I'm saying? So this is a real game we playing. This is definitely where the rubber meets the road.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, so Ryan, you did ask, you know, which lyric styles, tempos work best. Did you guys?
No, they didn't answer it.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, this is also something that we hear all the time with radio. Everybody wants to know, how do I get my song on the radio? And then when we hear it and we tell them that's not really a radio song, or that's not, you know, this type of, you get what I'm saying? So is it the same thing for just record companies and publishing companies? Like, what works best?
What does it vary?
I mean, you need to have some clean lyrics. I mean, there are certain shows that might have some lyrics that can be explicit, right? You might watch Power, right? They might have a song in there that's got some explicit lyrics. But here's the thing. If I make a song with explicit lyrics, I'm taking that pool of possibilities and I'm shrinking it down to just this.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Again, some of the biggest placements that I've had have been in Super Bowl commercials, to MTV Teen Mom, to, you know, whatever. I want to get that money in all those spots, not just that one little section. So clean lyrics. You know, you want the song to be marketable. You don't want to get too specific. I always talk about genders in songs, right? So if I say something like, you know, I'm the hottest dude out here, something like that. All right, that might sound cool, but I can't use that in a WNBA commercial. I can't use that in, you know, I don't know, a women's product commercial, something like that. So you take that out. Open up those possibilities.
Now, just to reiterate something, when you say give clean lyrics, so if a person has a song that is explicit, you're just wanting to make sure that they have a clean version of that so that they can use it in those other areas, or you're just talking about off GP? No, if you know you have this music placement opportunity, then you need to make sure that song 100% fits that caliber of what they're looking for, right?
I mean, if you have a clean version, that's cool. It's just when I'm creating, I don't even just go down that path, right?
Gotcha.
But you might have a song that's hot, right? And maybe it's a little explicit and you can just clean it up. Yeah, that's cool too.
Because I know Migos had to clean up some of their songs when I hear them play on ESPN.
Oh, they
ain't cussing all over that. Huh? You said what?
They're taking the part there's no curse words in it.
Yeah.
Or they're doing that. You're right.
Or what if you just you take little pieces out of a song and you just flip that and then had an instrumental? I've seen them do that a lot of times too, where they might just take the part they need.
On the instrumental, you get paid the same. You get paid the same. So even if you're a songwriter on this song and they just use the instrumental, still getting paid. So the instrument, and really, I don't want to leave the producers out too. How you arrange your beat, how you structure your beat, that's very important as well. So you got to keep that stuff in mind too. Which section of this track might be really good in a commercial? All that is important.
You are correct, Chris. You are a songwriter, the producer, and the songwriter. Everybody's a songwriter. You are correct.
Whole team eating. All right, so we're gonna close out this music scoring and placement question segment with what rights and payments are required for film TV placements.
What rights and payments? I guess I'm not sure I quite understand the question.
Well, I can speak to the rights. As far as the rights, you know, that's all negotiable. And, you know, Chris will tell you, you know, whether you want online rights or TV rights, you have to negotiate promotional rights. You have to negotiate for all those rights at the time. Or sometimes you may not want all those rights and you come back and get them later. So it really just depends on what your specific use is as far as for rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, the other thing, I know like ownership is like super important. And I think a lot of times we hear these terms about publishing and copyrights and we're like, I want all my publishing. you're probably not going to just like jump into this music game with no leverage and expect to get all that stuff. I mean, the deals that I get now with my placements are not the deals that I was getting 6-7 years ago. I'm able to get that because, you know, you got to give away some stuff at first in order to kind of build up that credibility, that leverage, and then you can negotiate more.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, so Ro, we're gonna go with the end question.
Yeah, go ahead and knock that out.
If you can tell an aspiring artist 3 things regarding the music business, what would it be?
Both of y'all.
I'm gonna start with get your business right. The first thing.
I like that one.
Get your business right.
Absolutely.
If you don't know, ask somebody and try to find as much. There are books out here that you can read. If you've been in the music business and you've never looked at Donald Passman's book, you know what I mean? There's 27 editions of Donald Passman's. He's been writing this book forever. And that's kind of, then there are other books that delve deeper into the music business, but that's always a good entry level to start with, because if you don't understand the basic terms, you won't understand more complex things. So you should definitely spend a lot of time trying to teach yourself.
Gotcha.
I agree with all that. Some of the things that I would probably tell somebody, don't rush the process. I think, especially in our society now, like we want everything just like that. Y'all, the best advice that I ever got was that music is a slow burn. My first royalty check is probably like 43 cents. And then over time,
I know that.
You know what I mean? And it's like, it builds up. And you get better, you network, you build relationships, you understand what works, you take a couple L's, you get some W's. I said this earlier, but hard work to me is just as important as talent.
Amen.
If somebody is reliable, that's the person I'm going to call 9 times out of 10 when I need something in a jam or I see an opportunity, because I know that they're going to deliver. I've worked with artists who have had so much talent, but I can't rely on them. They can't show up to the studio on time, stuff like that, or show up at all. And then the last thing, and Sean mentioned something like this earlier, but invest in yourself. You need to spend money on yourself and what you want to do. One of the first things that I did when I really started to take this serious, I invested in some photography, a website, a domain name, and those things helped give me credibility to when I was reaching out to people who had never heard of me or worked with me before. But they saw, okay, and this guy looks like he probably, spend some money on his products. I'll hear what he has to say.
Yeah. Big facts.
I love it.
You guys are so awesome for all this knowledge. I really, really, really just want to thank you. Me and Wolfie want to thank you on behalf of the listeners, myself, even I learned some things today. This is the type of stuff, like Sean said, we don't talk about the business enough. And especially if you don't got the right camp with you, ain't nobody talking about it, because everybody's just looking for, as Chris said, that opportunity to just become an overnight celebrity. But that is not what keeps you, in the longevity part of this business. So if you guys saw this tonight, rewatch it, because there was so much information, so much knowledge in here that you should just rewatch it. Share it with your people. Like Sean said, if you got your team around you, everybody really should be watching this. Like, even if they didn't get to tap in tonight, you make them watch it anyway. This right here is what you need. This is exactly how you remain successful. So again, thank you guys so much for all the knowledge, all of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, share this, like it. Shout out to Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. Chris, Sean, one more again, thank you guys so much. You guys out there watching, make sure you tap in for Plug Talk. When you see this, you saw how real and how dope this was tonight. If this is your first time tapping in, you didn't catch the last one, don't miss the next one, because this is what you need, period. Bye, y'all.
Yeah.